Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 158 of Photo Critiques. And in this episode, I'm pleased to critique the work of Benji Pullen. And Benji sent me in some nice shots. Now this first one, I consider this to be a fine art shot, and Benji did a nice job with the composition. I always mention if you're photographing snow, that you don't want to get the snow when it's, a day old and it's trampled upon, or, dirty. You want to get it when it's freshly fallen, and as you can see, obviously it's freshly fallen snow. So he did a real nice job there. It just looks nice when you do that. The composition itself, the only thing I could suggest, I would like to see the entire bench in the shot. We cut off the front legs here. So if you just backed up just a little bit and got the these entire legs in the shot, I think it would have been a stronger shot, because the bench is really the subject of the scene here, and we're cutting it off, and we really shouldn't do that in this regard, I think, or in this case, I should say. This existing light portrait, and it's really well done. That existing light means you're not using a flash, just probably light coming in from a window, I believe. And you could see in her eyes, you could see the window right in her eyes. And also you could notice that her eyes are perfectly focused. And that's what I always mention when you're photographing people, anything really with eyes, focus on the eyes. That's the most important thing. And I'd like to point out he used a 50mm lens at f/1.4, so it was wide open, very limited depth of field, and you could see how her eyes are in perfect focus, but the tip of her nose is out of focus, and even like just where her hairline is out of focus. So you have very, very limited depth of field, and Benji did a really nice job on this shot, and it helps, the entire composition around her eyes gradually gets more and more out of focus. It's a really nice job. Now this shot here, I mentioned a lot of times in the critiques, typically when you're photographing women, you want diffuse, soft light that isn't on too much of an angle, because you want her skin to be really smooth looking. Most women like that. So you don't want to show all the little blemishes and everything. Now in this light here is coming from this direction, and it's on an angle. You could see the shadow under her chin. So we're seeing the texture of her skin. Now that's okay usually with a man, but with a woman you normally don't want that. With a woman, you'd prefer the light to be more front lit and more diffuse, and not have strong shadows like this. And then you get all the little shadows from every little blemish. It makes them look humongous when they're really not. Now this is a nice shot, existing light. Now we do have some very strong directional light here, but it's being filtered by the shears on the window and by her hair slightly. The only thing I could comment though is ask your models when they pose, when they put a hand up to their face, don't have them press it into their face. You could see how this distorted her nose and her cheek, and her eye is scrunched like that. Now that does add character to the shot. And for a candid, for a friend, that's fine. But if you're photographing a model for a photo shoot for something, for a product, or for her portfolio or something like that, don't ask them. They should, if they're a professional model, they should learn this in modeling school. But if they're doing it, make sure they don't press their hand into their face to distort their features. Now in this case, as I mentioned, it's okay, because this is a candid apparently of a friend or a relative. So that, that's fine. You're just taking a picture for, fun. But if you're doing it for a portfolio, for a model, or you're doing some type of advertising shot or anything like that, don't have them do that. It's a really nice shot. Now this is a really strong backlit shot, and you could see the little kind of rim light on the side of his face here, and it really makes the smoke from the cigarette really that much more intense too, as the light filters through the smoke. So it's a really, really nice shot. Benji did a nice job of exposing it, so we all of this is in shadow, and then the parts we really don't care about, his shoulder over here is in shadow, so the main subject is him. And again, this was that same lens. It was f/1.4, so really nice bokeh in the back here. Very well done. 1/4000th of a second at f/1.4. It's a nice shot too. This kind of like a street photography shot, I believe. If you're walking, you know, the guy, this might be the proprietor. That's the way I imagine it. Street photography kind of tells a story, but not necessarily the true story. It might be the story that the viewer is imagining in their head. So as I look at this, I kind of believe this might be the proprietor, and he's selling scarves and things, and he's selling his wares, and Benji took his picture. So yes and no. I could be right. I might be way wrong, but it doesn't matter. It comes across and it tells the story. We have the man. We have perfect exposure on his face, nice focus, and then we see just enough of what's around him to make us think, at least, that this is a booth or a store and they're selling things. And that's the way I interpret the story. And that's what you want to try to do when you're doing street photography, is just give enough hints as to what is going on and allow the viewer to draw a conclusion. I think that's the last one. Yep, that's it for Benji. Benji, thank you very much for sharing your work with us. We don't get a lot of portraiture. I get mainly, I'd say 80% of the stuff we've been getting for critique is landscapes. So it's a real pleasure to critique some portraits, and the existing light portraits especially, because they're real nice to do, and you did a real nice job on everything. So thank you again. I'd like to thank everyone that watches all my videos. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys have time, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I have all kinds of photography stuff over there. And if you could, go over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube username is Anthony Morganti, and I'd really appreciate if you did that. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.